The movie opens inside Briggs Penitentiary in Maine, where a man named David Burroughs is serving a life sentence for a murder he swears he didn't commit, the murder of his own son. But the problem is David is completely innocent because he was the one who found his own son Matthew's body, beaten to a bloody pulp with a baseball bat, life stolen from him in the most brutal way imaginable. And because he blames himself for not protecting his son, he accepted his life sentence without a fight. David has cut off almost everyone in his life, refusing visits and shutting people out, until one day his sister-in-law, Rachel Mills, a former journalist who was fired from the Boston Globe, shows up at the prison with something that changes everything. She has a photo taken at a Six Flags theme park, and in the background there is a boy who looks just like Matthew would look now, years older, but with the exact same crescent-shaped birthmark on his cheek. Rachel is careful not to get his hopes up too much, especially since Matthew's mother Cheryl has since remarried and is now pregnant with another child, but she tells David there is a real chance his son could still be alive. Before they can talk further, a prison guard named Ted Wesson cuts the visit short and throws David into solitary confinement. Unaware to David, Ted has secretly been paid off to keep tabs on him and report back to someone dangerous. David is eventually allowed to meet with the prison warden Philip McKenzie, who happens to be an old family friend and former police partner of David's father Lenny. David tells Philip about the photo, but Philip is skeptical since Rachel was fired for a past mistake. Still, Philip privately believes David might really be innocent. He flies to Boston to see Lenny and his sister Sophie, along with his own son Adam, who is a police officer and David's childhood best friend. Philip asks Lenny for a copy of Matthew's original case file, but Lenny seems more concerned with whether the file could expose something that ties back to him and Philip from the original investigation. Back at the prison, David finally gets the case file, and reading through it, he relives the trial that convicted him. The disfigured body, only identified through blood testing, his own history of night terrors used against him, the murder weapon conveniently found in the woods, and a neighbor named Hild Winslow who testified she saw him burying it. Meanwhile, Ted receives new orders from the people paying him and arranges for a violent cannibalistic serial killer named Ross Sumner to get assigned to the same laundry work detail as David. Ross taunts David about killing his son to provoke him.
David, you killed your own son, flesh of your flesh. So tell me, David, when you brought that bat down, what did that feel like?
I think you should back off.
Then jumps him from behind in a surprise attack. Ted quietly allows the attack to happen without stepping in. David blacks out for a moment, picturing Matthew, before snapping back and beating Ross nearly unconscious. But another guard intervenes before it goes too far. Afterward, Rachel visits David again, and he confronts her, asking if this whole Matthew theory is really just her way of redeeming herself after losing her journalism career. But their conversation convinces him she genuinely believes what she found, and David warns her that if she's right about any of this, they could be dealing with someone very dangerous. After the failed attack from Ross, Ted decides he needs to finish the job himself, but David manages to fight him off as well. These back-to-back attacks convince Philip that David's life is in real danger inside those walls. So Philip and his son Adam quietly put together an escape plan. David disguises himself in Adam's police uniform, intending to simply walk out through the front gate, but Ted recognizes him at the final checkpoint, forcing David and Philip to ram a car through the gate instead, and speed away with police swarming in behind them. As the chase escalates, state police set up spike strips ahead, and a negotiator calls into the car, trying to talk David down. Philip tells him he needs to sound desperate enough to be believed. So David threatens to kill Philip unless the road is cleared. The bluff works and the spikes are pulled back just in time, letting them break through into the city. Rachel is waiting to help David swap vehicles inside a mall, while Philip sacrifices himself to stay behind and mislead the police, claiming he was taken hostage the entire time and drove off alone. David officially becomes a fugitive on the run, with his face now all over the news. Back at Briggs, Ted tries to quietly back out of his arrangement, but ends up passing along a tip to Ross instead. As episode 2 begins, Rachel and David make their way toward New York City. Along the way, Rachel opens up about the story from her past that got her fired from the Boston Globe in the first place. When they reach the city, Rachel reaches out to an old flame, a wealthy man named Hayden Payne, who agrees to let them lay low at his place. While all this happens, the FBI's fugitive task force gets called in, led by a veteran agent named Max Williams and his sharp daughter Sarah Greer, and they start piecing together exactly what happened that night. They learn Ted never officially signed David out for the infirmary, which is their first clue something was covered up.
Go to Officer Weston's house and drag his ass back here.
They bribe an inmate for information and learn Ted used his own emergency key to get into David's cell instead of following normal procedure. At the same time, Rachel and David track down Ted's home address. Rachel tells David not to bring a gun. He agrees. But when he gets inside the house, he finds Ted there anyway. Ted finally admits on the record that the people paying him have been watching David since day one, and that they now want him dead specifically because of that photo Rachel showed him. David demands Ted call his handlers right then and there. But before that call can go anywhere, Rachel hears a gunshot from outside. She rushes in to find Ted dead on the floor. David tells her Ted took his own life, rather than give up who was really behind all of this, which now closes off their only direct lead to the people pulling the strings, while Philip and Adam get pulled in for aggressive questioning about how exactly David managed to escape so cleanly.
How exactly did David Burroughs get your gun?
The inmate caught me off guard.
Inmate.
In the middle of all this, we also learn Adam has been secretly ordered to exhume Matthew's actual grave to check the body against forensic records, which raises the question of whether the Mackenzies are protecting David or protecting themselves, hanging together in the balance as the recap ends. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more recaps like this.